everyone, I am Adhrit Dahal. I am going to read this wonderful story book Yak and Nak Go on a Trek, written by Hermione Roff. Let's begin. Yak and Nak lived in the high pastures of Kanchenjunga. They carried loads for trekkers who came to see the wonderful snow-capped mountains of Nepal. Yak and Nak met one day. They put their heads together and had a talk. Yakker nakker, yakker nakker, yakkety yakkety yak. Yakker nakker, yakker nakker, yakkety yak yak yak. They nodded, rubbed their noses together and said, "We are tired of carrying loads. We want to be the Sardar." So the next day, they were the Sardars. But the guides said that, the cook said this, the porter said this and that, the trekker said this, that and everything. So Yak and Nak put their heads together and had a talk. Yakker nakker, yakker nakker, yakkety yakkety yak. Yakker nakker, yakker nakker, yakkety yak yak yak. They nodded, rubbed their noses together and said, "Being a Sardar is a very, very headache job. We want to be the guide." So the next day they were the guides. But the trekkers were tired. The trekkers walked slowly. The trekkers got sick. The trekkers had to be carried. So Yak and Nak put their heads together and had a talk. Yakker nakker, yakker nakker, yakkety yakkety yak. Yakker nakker, yakker nakker, yakkety yak yak yak. They nodded, rubbed their noses together and said, "Being a guide is a very, very headache job. We want to be the cook." So the next day they were the cooks. But the soup was cold, the eggs were hard, the rice stuck to the pan, the water ran out. So Yak and Nak put their heads together and had a talk. Yakker nakker, yakker nakker, yakkety yakkety yak. Yakker nakker, yakker nakker, yakkety yak yak yak. They nodded, rubbed their noses together and said, "Being a cook is a very, very headache job. We want to put up tents." So the next day they helped to put up tents. But the poles got stuck. The ropes got tangled. The ground sheet tore. The pegs came out. So Yak and Nak put their heads together and had a talk. Yakker nakker, yakker nakker, yakkety yakkety yak. Yakker nakker, yakker nakker, yakkety yak yak yak. They nodded, rubbed their noses together and said, "Putting up tents is a very, very headache job. We want to serve at table." So the next day they served at table. But the trekkers said, "More tea please, where's the milk? No sugar, hot water." So Yak and Nak put their heads together and had a talk. Yakker nakker, yakker nakker, yakkety yakkety yak. Yakker nakker, yakker nakker, yakkety yak yak yak. They nodded, rubbed their noses together and said, "Serving at table is a very, very headache job. We want to carry loads." So the next day they carried loads and the sun came out. The path was straight. They drank from streams. They chatted with friends. They were so happy they sang a song. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. That night, Yak and Nak put their heads together and had a talk. Yakker nakker, yakker nakker, yakety yakety yak. Yakker nakker, yakker nakker, yakety yak yak yak. They nodded, rubbed their noses together and said, "Now we know carrying loads is the best job in the world." Thank you.